guys, Ash here, Racial Legends. Welcome to the video. Sending some love, some positive vibes your way, especially if you need them out there today. Today, the third installment of the Plarium Thinks You're Sleeping on These Champions series. That's right, we've done one for Chimera, we've done one for the Arena, and now we're gonna do one for good old Hydra clan boss. So I asked Plarium, hey, you guys have access to all the data, and you designed the game at the end of the day as well. So what do you guys think? I think this is interesting. Who do you think that the player base at large is sleeping on in these particular areas? Which champions? But before we get to the list today, guys, I gotta tell you, a little surreptitious, little sneaky thing that your boy's doing. I'm gonna delay this video upload just for a couple days until after this tournament is over, because I'm finally going for the global tournament win. You know what my problem was? First of all, for those who don't know, I've been really focused on getting this stupid badge that means nothing in my stupid profile in Raid Shadow Legends, where you get this badge for winning #1 in a global tournament, on the global leaderboard, not your group, right? And I've never done it. But the problem is, I'm always going after the tough stuff, like the summoning events, or the Phantom Shogun Grove, or the Sand Devil, right? Where all the whales just unload 1,000,000 energy. So now, I've got the secret here. I'm going for #1 in this Ice Golem tournament, all right? All right? So hopefully, by the time that you're watching this, I'll let you know in the pinned comment, hopefully I have my stupid badge that means nothing. Ergo, I've won Raid Shadow Legends, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Ice Golem tournament. All the artifacts I'm selling. It's great, Ice Golem, man. They need to do something with updating the dungeons, right? I mean, I know Plarium's gonna watch this video because it's all about Plarium picks. So Plarium, you're watching. Two quick things. I love you guys. Two quick things. #1 is, hey, let's revisit that decision about not buffing any epic ever again. Come on, guys. And #2, let's buff Keeyra Fireheart. How about that? Buff Keeyra Fireheart, make her the Lydia of the world. All right, I'll shut up now. Here we go. On to the list. Kicking off with Max, who's a game designer at Plarium. He picks an interesting one. Honestly, I can see why. He picked Ruel the Huntmaster, but at the same time, I always try to talk myself into this dude, honestly. I just, for whatever reason, he never delivers for me. But there is a lot to like here. So Max says he's amazing direct damage for Hydra clan boss, providing good utility. He has Hex, an amazing passive that synergizes obviously with Hex. Beautiful assist and damage for your team. Well, listen, he has the AoE, he has the Hex, or the extra hit on Hex. He has ignore defense if there are 4 more enemies under Hex. So yes, built for Hydra heads, right? Then the increased accuracy on everybody, the Hex on all enemies, and a perfect veil on himself, which is fantastic because he's got 13 freaking K HP. But the cool and unique thing about Ruel the Huntmaster is this marked quarry, right? Decrease the speed of enemies under Hex by 5%, resistance by 10%, increase the damage enemies under Hex receive by 10%, and decrease their heals. So specifically this, increase the damage enemies under Hex debuffs receive by 10%. I mean, that's like Landon 2 debuffs with a full 9-piece Feral, or a full 9-piece protection with 2 buffs on. I mean, that should be incredibly impactful. For whatever reason, though, value over replacement for me, I haven't found it. But then again, maybe I need to try him out. It's been a couple, to be fair, it's probably been a year or 2 since I've tried him out. Anyway, Ruel the Huntmaster from Max coming in at #1. Next on the list comes from the Diamond, who is a game designer as well. The Diamond used to be a community manager. What's up, the Diamond? Hey, he picks Xena, the warrior princess, the one that you sold us for 50 bucks. I kid. Xena's actually a really, really cool PvP champion and wave champion, but why is the Diamond picking her for Hydra clan boss? He actually has some really good points. First of all, she smacks. You can see, well, you can read the kit here. But what does he say? He says, people love using Varl for his passive. Oh, I like this is for the greater good. You guys can read the escalating passive as well. It is very Varl-esque, right? People love using Varl for the passive, stacking that damage when using active skills, while Xena has the upgraded version of it, also changing her weak hits into strong hits. Always handy when battling stronger affinity heads, or, you know, weak affinity heads, I guess, right? Or mismatch. Also, unlike Varl, Xena has 2 AoE attacks, but doesn't have his debuff, of course. You know what? This is a really good point here. I've never tried Xena, Warrior Princess in Hydra Clan Boss, but now I think I will. You know, when we look at these longer battles like Ninja and Varl the Destroyer, right, Keeyra the Bloodied, these escalating attacks that stack up, especially in longer battles, you can easily hit those caps, and then you're rocking double your attack after your gear and everything as well, right? Increases champion's attack by 10% each time they use an active skill, up to 100%, resets each round. Well, there's only one round in Hydra Clan Boss. Has a 50% chance of randomly changing this champion's weak hits to a normal, strong, or critical hits. That's great. It's like Contra the Cyclone or Bivolt of the Thorn as well with the no weak hits. I mean, a chance to 100% when attacking enemies under 2 or more buffs or debuffs. Dude, you know what? Why didn't I think of that? Xena, Warrior Princess, comes in at number 2. Next up, we have Gharol Bloodmaul from Bodan. Bogdan or Bodan? I apologize, man. What's up, though? Thank you for doing this. And he's from the Live Ops team at Plarium. He picks a mythical. The only mythical, I think, on the list. Oof. Gharol, for me, I hate to hate on a mythical. She's so bizarre in terms of the total difference between her base form and her alternate form. She's very difficult to build for both. And I love this because Bodan's done this on all the videos so far. We have the same employees ranking these champions or submitting these champions. And what he's doing is by the real spirit of the question, right? He's looking at in-game use rates, right, in ratings, and he's basing it on that. He truly wants to go for underutilized and underrated champions. So he says she has a 3.8 in-game rating on Hydra, but has a solid first form, but most will be using the second form for an unstoppable damage machine. Well, that's the truth, right? She does have that provoke on the first form, but the thing I don't like about her is she has I feel like I'm talking smack about all the picks. I don't mean that. I'm just saying why I don't use the first form is on a 4-turn cooldown for a mythical champion on an AoE provoke. I mean, that's not dependable necessarily enough to be a decay permanent provoker for me. That would be great, right? Because you could swap her in first form, and if you wouldn't want to go manual and be a decay provoker. She also has a block buffs, ally protection. Honestly, I think her base form is good for maybe like an epic or legendary, but not good enough for a mythical, personally. I would like to see a buff to her base form. Anyway, he's not even talking about her freaking base form. He's talking about this version of Gharol, who I'm sure we can all agree is an absolute monster. She has 2 AoE attacks, and she has a chance of repeating the A1, which is especially significant because whenever an ally attacks, she has a 25% chance to join up in the attack, and that can escalate for every HP lost. I mean, listen, there's no doubt about it. Bodan is absolutely right. Gharol Bloodmaul is a beast. Sometimes I have her. Sometimes I forget about her, and I slot her into my Hydra team, and I'm like, oh man, why am I not using Gharol Bloodmaul more? So she's number 3. All right, guys, next up we have from Grumpsh, who's a moderator. Shout out to CM Kreisch for making this happen as well. We have Razelvarg. Man, Razelvarg, this is a really good one here. Razelvarg, I pulled him. I didn't fuse him. I pulled him way later than the fusion, like a year later. And boy, I haven't dive, dove in enough on Razelvarg. Has really good scaling damage for longer fights and was accessible. Can't compete with Trunda and Titus, obviously, but he does bring some relevant buffs and debuffs. Again, his damage scales on speed as well. He's a nasty champion. He's got the leech, he's got the heal, he's got the increased speed, the increased accuracy, 3-turn cooldown on everybody, and each increased speed placed by this champion increases his speed up to 100. Yeah, talk about escalating damage because he's attacking more often, and yeah, his skills scale off speed. You know what? This freaking mock hair here, Razelvarg, he can deal some insane damage. Great choice there by Grumpsh. Well, what do you know? Look who's next on the list. This is cut from Corey, who is the Supreme Club Community Manager. Thanks for the invite, Corey. Appreciate that, bro. I don't spend enough money for you! Think of all the shard openings! Oh, okay. Anyway, sorry, got carried away there, guys. We have Varl the Destroyer from Corey. Varl is my pick for most underrated powerhouse in Hydra. People often write him off just because he's another crappy Doom Tower legendary. I added the crappy, not him. But trust me, he hits hard. He has a built-in lifesteal on his A1 ability. He has a passive that has the scaling attack damage as well. And do you need more? How about AoE Weaken? boom, and decrease attack, boom, boom. He's also fantastic multipliers that can ignore defense. This, by the way, Calamity Torrent, and especially when you have him powered up, this can smack for, we're talking millions of damage, right? And it's not as gear intensive as you would think because he can double his attack vis-a-vis the mass murder on the passive. He's a very, very fun, reliable option for my Hydra teams. I totally agree. Honestly, I think the Varl the Destroyer is, do I really mean this? Along with Uros the Soul Cage, I think those are the two best Doom Tower hard champions, unless I'm forgetting somebody. Am I forgetting somebody? Either way, Varl the Destroyer comes up next on the list. Okay, guys, next we have Stas. Stas is the game director for all of Raid Shadow Legends. Who you got, Stas? He actually has a real curveball for us. He's picking Sethallia. Sethallia! All right, what does he say about her? While she won't be in any of the elite endgame compositions for Hydra now, does he mean for now? Is there a buff coming, Stas? There ought to be, I think. But anyway, just after the launch of the mode, Sethallia was one of the champions who helped me a ton with some stable results on my second and third teams. She has really good heal, which is true. She has a cleanse, a block debuffs, and a 75% heal on a 2-turn cooldown. But the cool thing is she also heals other allies by 20% of their max HP and fills turn meter by 15% if the target's fully healed by the skill. It actually ends up being a very nice ability because of that 2-turn cooldown as well and how much she's doing with it. I don't mind single target abilities like this if they're on a 2-turn cooldown. There's quite a few of them out there. Good turn meter boost, good buff strip, which is absolutely true here. This Aggress used to be one of the most bonkers abilities in the arena. I used to hate going against Sethallia. But what does he say? The buff strip in the A3 helped a ton with mischief, buff stealing, and spreading. Also, having burn on the A1 is a really nice bonus. She does have a 70% burn on the A1. This Aggress, though, you're removing all buffs from enemies, you're decreasing the turn meter of enemies, but, I mean, not going to help you there, but filling the turn meter of all allies by 10% or 20 if any buffs were removed, which is, you know, pretty often. That's on a 3-turn cooldown, so you get really the double turn meter fill from the A2 to A3, buff removal as well as the burn. It's kind of an interesting call out there by Stas. That is Sethallia. Who's next? Next up we have Keeyra the Watcher. This is submitted by Nizari from the support team. Okay, Nizari. Keeyra? I thought she was only good for the Mikage fusion. I kid. Actually, I don't hate Keeyra. Let's see what she says about her, or he says. Nizari? Is that a guy or a girl? Let's see what Nizari says about Keeyra. How about that? Apologies. Let me know. Let me know. I won't make the mistake again in future videos. I picked the dwarf champion from the Lady Mikage fusion, Keeyra the Watcher. She can be a key champion, especially for early mid-game accounts, to progress for higher Hydra difficulties. Why? Her ally protection buff is a very pleasant bonus. I do agree it's very pleasant. With the increased defense and an ally protection on a 3-turn cooldown, it's solid. You know, there's quite a few champions that have this exact move in their kits, but she does have a pretty good damage mitigation when you parlay it with the A2. That's me talking. What does Nizari say? But the main reason is the debuffs, namely the decreased attack on the A2 that allows the team to withstand all the hits better. The decreased accuracy can show a great example for players who have weaker accounts that debuffs can be resisted even if you don't have champions with super high resistance. This is a very good point here, right? Very good point. Increased resistance, who needs it if you got decreased accuracy as well? Plus, everyone can get her. And after the release of Faction Wars Hard Mode, it's not that painful to invest the skill tomes into her. Meaning, the point being, is that, you know, she's very useful in Faction Wars as well, especially Hard Mode. Whenever an ally is attacked while under an ally protection, she places a decreased attack right on the attacker for 1 turn. Really solid there. I think it's a good call out for Keeyra the Watcher, especially again, because she can be fused as part of the Mikage fusion. Next up from Gremlin Boy, who is, I'm gonna go on a limb and say this is a dude. So what does Gremlin Boy choose? He's a community manager, by the way, and he chooses a very interesting choice, which I absolutely agree with, and it's Lady of Ireth. She's very good after her buff. She was honestly one of the most underwhelming legendary champions in the game. Top 10 worst legendary champion, in my opinion, but they really did nail it with her buff. Good base stats, by the way, right? On her A1, continuous heal activation on a random ally, actually, 1 continuous heal on all allies, provided they have less than 85% 25% HP. That's not bad at all. She has a cleanse and then a heal, a critical heal. I'm looking at you, Apothecary, right? You're not the only one anymore, dude. And then if the target is not fully healed, we get a block damage on them. If they are fully healed, fills their turn meter by 50% and heals all allies equal to 50% of the surplus heal. AKA, we got a nice heal and a single target cleanse here, as well as potentially a block damage. But really, the A3 is what they did a great job on, and I think this is what Gremlin Boy is getting at here. We have a strengthen, a continuous heal on all allies for 2 turns, and also decrease the cooldown of all allies skills except this champion by 1 turn. This is on a 3-turn cooldown. It's a little mini Yumeko vibe, or Emic vibe, or Donatello vibe. The nice thing is, though, 3-turn cooldown, this can just keep everybody on your team doing what they do best more often. A great support champion in general, and great in a 9-piece protection set as well if you can pull it off in the end game. She has a shield on this champion and the ally with lowest HP at the start of this champion's turn as well on a 1-turn cooldown. So a good survivability that she can lend to the entire team and then some. That's Lady of Ireth. All right, next up is from Vladimir from the game design team. Vladimir chooses Suzerain Katonn, or Suzerain, or Susan. Either way, the old school original champion in the game from Undead Horde Spirit Affinity. Actually, this is an interesting pick here. I don't hate it. Very nice for early progression, especially normal and hard Hydra. 3 AoE attacks, which is absolutely right. AoE there with a decreased speed, AoE here with a weakened decreased defense, and an AoE here with heal reduction. The thing I hate about him, though, that I've always hated is the 4-turn cooldown. Golly. Give us that 3-turn, please, please. Such an easy buff to this champion, right? He wouldn't be broken or OP, but he'd be a lot more reliable, in my opinion. Anyway, I digress. Perfect candidate for a curse set. That's a really good option there with the curse set with the AoE on every move, right? Also a provoke set or retaliation set, revenge accessories. These are all good points to get the decreased speeds off that A1, right, as well. Basically, with the decreased speed and the decreased defense and the weaken and the hex and a curse set, he can be a reliable decreased defense and damage dealer who can open up more slots for other champs on your team that can even do more damage or provide more useful buffs and debuffs to your squad. It's not a bad pick, especially when we talk about progression accounts. You don't really see Suzerain in the end game, but I think it's a good shout out to a champion that, you know, he hasn't aged that well, but for Hydra, I can see the utility, especially given the mention of all those artifact sets that just suit him incredibly well. Next up from Andri, who is a player support agent. That's Andri. Khoronar, one of the worst legendaries in the game, but because I cheated and read ahead, Andri makes some pretty good points here, I'm not gonna lie. At least they're honest about Khoronar. They say, they start out by saying, being a Void legendary instantly puts Khoronar into a conversation with some of the best champions out there. A comparison Khoronar loses in almost every case. I love it. I love the honesty. A requirement is to pair him with other champions to bring out the most of his kit. Leaves him a lot less desired. But he is Void Affinity, so no chance of weak hits, giving a free pass on mischief buff steals. So why do you think he's good? Well, he can tank the Head of Decay with the Provoke. He's good for stacking Cruelty Blessing with the AoE on this A1 as well, and the AoE on the, A3, excuse me, there we go. He has the decreased defense with the AoE on the A1 that can be used to apply Hex with a curse set on that A1 as well. And it can also be a very solid mischief tank. He brings a decreased attack in addition and a decreased defense. That's actually a very good point here. These AoEs on the A1, similar to Suzerain Katonn, beautiful with a curse set, adding extra utility to the champion, can have the Provoke on a 3-turn cooldown as well, and then has that decreased defense and the decreased attack. This is on, again, a 3-turn cooldown after his buff. So honestly, I'm not really hating the pick here on Khoronar. Again, you're not going to see this dude on endgame teams, but I do think that Andri brings up some really good points here. I think this is a viable pick for an underrated champion after his last buff earlier this year. Next up is going to be Phantom Touch from the player support team. Phantom Touch chooses Lysanthir Beastbane, a previous fusion in the game. This is a very interesting choice as well. Lysanthir, I didn't even go for this dude, honestly. He did not enamor me. I was not very impressed by the kit. But let's hear Phantom Touch out. He says, I quite like Lysanthir Beastbane and Hydra. Not many players were thinking very highly on him, and he's not a classic nuker, by any stretch. But he's the type of champion that can provide some sneaky damage and free devoured allies really easily and grant relevant debuffs to stay relevant. There we go. Overall, he's a champ that should not be discounted. All right. Well, he has the Hex on the A1. He has the double hitter with a chance of repeating the attack, but when he counterattacks or teams up on an ally attack, he's going to use the A2 instead. But the cool thing about this is the damage inflicted by this skill increased by 10% each time an ally is devoured on a 3-turn cooldown when booked. The Rune Snare is a really nice ability. It's a 3-turn AoE cooldown with a decreased speed and a weaken. He'll place them ahead of time if the target is under a Hex. Obviously, decreased speed to me is you don't leave home without it, especially in Hydra. And the coolest thing about him is the Survivalist Supreme. Corey, don't forget the Supreme Cub thing. You know, just something just caught my attention there. Supreme. Ignore life barrier and ally protection buffs, right? Increases champion's defense for each active buff on this champion up to 50%. So nice supplementary damage. I remember the DPS checks. Again, I don't have this champion, but they weren't out of this world, but he can escalate and bring some really crucial debuffs to your team. So again, maybe not an end game favorite, but certainly a reliable champion in Hydra, if nowhere else in the game. That's Lysanthir Beastbane. Next up is from Ilya, who's a project manager. And Ilya chooses Tuhanarak. I don't know if players are sleeping on Tuhanarak, Ilya, but maybe some are, honestly. They're giving Tuhanarak away to new accounts with promo code Desert Queen, by the way. I mean, I wish I had a champion like this when I was starting Raid Shadow Legends. And truthfully, listen, she is an absolute beast. It's kind of like a little cheat code with this passive, cleansing those true fears off especially, right? But not only that, she has the decreased speed, she got the continuous heals, she's got the decreased attack and the block buffs in a debuff spread. You have to be careful because it won't necessarily only spread these two debuffs, which we'd love to spread, especially the block buffs being an essential debuff for Hydra Clan Boss. But what makes her really amazing is she also brings increased speed, increased defense on a 3-turn cooldown when booked, and the cleanse, the little Doom Priest-esque passive here as well. She's doing so much. She truly is one of those two champions, one body, one, I don't know, pixel. Two champions in one. There we go. Champion in the game. So Tuhanarak is going to be the final champion on this list, guys. I hope you enjoyed this series. And listen, I poked fun here and there, but I truly do want to express all my gratitude, not only to all the Plarium employees who took the time to fill out my stupid survey asking about champions out of their busy days, but also to Banana Jam and to Ace for connecting me with the rest of the Plarium staff so I can make this series here on YouTube. Speaking of the series on YouTube, hey guys, there are the other 2 videos on the screen right now. Check out who the Plarium employees picked for the most underrated arena champions as well as Chimera champions. Thanks for watching till the end. Much love, and as always, take care, guys.